You know, right. Live episode 3. Nick Durst here, along with Joe Calabrese, our very special July 3rd episode here, as we wish happy birthday to America. And let me be the first to wish my co-host Joe a happy birthday. The big 3-1, the Mike Piazza year, 31 years old. Joey Cals, happy birthday, buddy.
Thank you. Appreciate that. A little early, but it'll go down the history books that you were the first.
I was the first. I won't be the last.
That's
and
right.
Got the birthday celebration started a little early yesterday as our softball team, the Unmighty Ducks, they sweep the competition. We won both of our games. Lights out starting pitching. And that was a difference maker in the game.
Yeah, who knew? So my cousin, Mikey, who moved to Florida, is well known on Twitter. A lot of the Yankees and Rangers Twitter fans like interacting with him. He's pretty good in softball himself. Good power hitter. Really solid pitcher. He was solid for us during the games that he did pitch. But he moved to Florida, and who knew that there was another Calabrese in the family who could pitch too. So right now we're maybe not so much Scherzer and Verlander, because they haven't been great this year. But we'll see. You know, maybe Schilling and Johnson, even though neither of us is really a lefty. But yeah, we're looking like a good duo at the top over there. And Danny pitches well, our friend Danny, another good pitcher. And our Nino, can't forget about Nino. Shout out to Nino. He's on the IL right now after injuring himself.
Yeah, hanging out with Stanton and Judge too much. But our team, 15-2-1 regular season.
Yeah,
but it doesn't mean anything if we don't make noise in the playoffs. So we'll see how it goes.
Keep everybody updated. We got to finish the story.
Everybody loved. We had a live stream yesterday on Twitch of the games. So everybody loves that. But great job pitching by you. You pitch better than your cousin. A little more consistent with the strike zone. And you've been raking. You're leading the way with the hitting. Roman Reigns, head of the table. Joe Calabrese, the table setter. Can't hit him Calabrese when you're facing him. So tremendous job by you. But moving on here, 4th of July tomorrow, or whenever you're watching this, it was going to be tomorrow. And by the way, we are powered by StreamYard. Thank you for StreamYard for bringing you know I'm right live. 4th of July and your birthday. Mm-hmm. So when did it first hit you that you were sharing a birthday with America?
Probably the earliest memories. 4 or 5 years old, just hanging around. You hear all the fireworks, right?
They do fireworks for my birthday.
That's for my birthday. Yeah, it's always been for me. It's not necessarily so every year. Sometimes it's difficult, right? Because everybody's kind of doing their own thing on the 4th of July, right? So one year I'll be with their big group. The next year, kind of a little smaller knit group with my family. They're all scattered now, living in Jersey, North Carolina, Florida. So whenever they were around here, they would always come by grandma's house to hang out with us for the birthday. A couple of friends who live local always tend to do things on the 4th of July. So they're like, come over. Usually they have cakes ready to go for me. So I do like the traveling thing. You know, that's my thing. Travel everywhere. Everybody gets to celebrate me for a day, which is nice. But yeah, the fireworks were always nice when I was younger. I've been to the East River to see the fireworks show a couple times. I've been to the Hudson River side of the things once before. So I've been there a few times. Kind of did the typical thing that you would usually do in New York City and around the 4th of July.
I've never been to the fireworks shows.
Once you see it once, it's it. You know, it's the same thing every year.
I don't need to go. We're in Staten Island, Joe. So there are fireworks everywhere here. I would say ever since 2020, the fireworks have really made a comeback. Because when I was a kid, when you were a kid, growing up in the 90s, early 2000s, fireworks were all over the place. And I would say from also 2001, also 2000.
Well, Rudy cleaned everything up
through 2020,
and then Bloomberg, everything kind of maintained what Rudy had started, right? Because he got them off the street. And then De Blasio, shout out to the worst mayor in the history of New York City. I am not afraid to say that. A couple years ago was his final year on the job, and that's when COVID was so the second summer of COVID, when everything really started opening back up again. everybody was very resentful, and they went out, and it was on every corner, and it was probably that one particular year of fireworks was the most that I can remember. And again, it was on every corner. You heard it everywhere, right? There were no cops out that night. Everybody kind of just did their own thing. So I think you're right over here. The last 2 or 3 years, it certainly made a comeback, and they were very strict on it when we were younger. Now, not so much anymore. So
Now it's all for grabs, and the skies explode. So, got to talk about eating on the 4th of July. Obviously, for you, get the birthday cake. That's a special case. So, to me, this is top 2, top 3 eating day of the year.
right.
As far as holidays is concerned. I know some people have the Super Bowl. I got 4th of July ahead of the Super Bowl. You and I both got Christmas Eve as number one.
Yeah,
So,
I think 4th of July is number 2 or 3. Obviously, a big barbecue day, right? So I prefer the Memorial Days, the July 4th, even like the Labor Day weekends. Like I prefer the summer eating as opposed to the traditional like fall, winter, spring eating holidays.
So I would say 4th of July for me. I'll go top 2. I'll go top 2. And then I got Christmas behind it. And after that, New Year's Eve could be great. New Year's Day could be great. It all depends on the crowd you're going to be with. Super Bowl for me is a little lower. I never really have been a big Super Bowl party guy. But listen, 4th of July is great. It all depends on your family. I want to shout out my grandfather, who I'm wearing his hat here, U.S. Navy in World War II, American hero. And I want to shout out everybody who has fought and maybe even unfortunately given their life for our freedoms here in the greatest country in the world, the United States of America. Let's hope that things continue to stay great here. And we have a viewer here who wants to know about your cake, Joe. Bass Wiz here wants to know, do you have Fudgy the Whale cake with extra crunchies?
Yeah, usually what we do is do the Carvel ice cream cake. This year we went very, very small because it's just going to be my mother, my grandmother, and my aunt, my godmother is going to swing by for a couple of hours during the day. So it's not really too many people to have the cake. But yeah, I'm a Fudgy the Whale guy. I like the crunchies. Generally tend to go ice cream cake as opposed to any other cakes. Like
big ice cream guys. So shout out to Bass Wiz, our first ever commenter on You Know I'm Right Live. I'm assuming that's a relative of yours or a friend of yours, but who knows? So I would say ice cream cake for me. I think the Carvel cake could be good, but I recently got this for my mom's birthday. Custom order, had a little inside scoop because my sister used to work at Carvel for many years. We ordered a custom half pistachio, half vanilla ice cream cake.
Ooh, that's good.
That was good.
We like pistachio in this family.
The chocolate's a little too rich for me with Carvel. I'm not a big chocolate guy. I like a chocolate shake, but I'm not a chocolate ice cream guy. Love a Spumoni ice, though. That's when the chocolate's the best.
Who doesn't love a good Spumoni ice?
Talking menu tomorrow. Joe, what are you most looking forward to eating on your birthday, other than the cake, of course?
Oh, we're just going to be barbecuing. So the typical barbecue foods.
All right. So I'll be having the barbecue foods as well. Check out my Instagram at Nick's Food and Stuff. I already posted some stuff from the past there. But it's just a great day. It's really a great day. And hopefully the weather holds up. And the thing that always, to me, gets me going on the 4th of July is, of course, the Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest. Joey Chestnut, Joe, the favorite. There's no value in betting him to win. You know he's going to win. So you got to go look for over-unders here. 73.5 right now is the over-under mark. That's extremely high.
He's done that 3 of the last 5 years. He's hit 70, 74.
Humidity is always a factor. Remember, when he set the record, Joe, it was the COVID year. So it was indoors at the Brooklyn Cyclone Stadium in an air-conditioned community. And that was the reason why. Last year, it tailed off. Now, are we looking at a continued drop-off here where Chestnut is in decline? He's getting up there in age like Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander? Or is it that he's saying, nobody can touch me, so why do I need to go to break my own record? Let me just go for the long game here. I can go longevity. I'll slow down my eating here, but I'm still going to be the best for years and years to come. I'm putting my money on the under, and I would say he's going to eat 68 hot dogs. What do you think, Joe?
Yeah, I agree with that. Also, if you're looking for value, right, the field is plus 3,000. So if you're just looking for a $5 bet, just to like, maybe this is the year he loses. Maybe that's the direction you want to go in. But I agree. I think at this point, it's like, you've reached 70. How many straight years? Maybe this is the year or the next couple of years, you pump it back until there's really a true contender that emerges from the field. Because remember, when we were younger, this was Kobayashi's competition, and then all of a sudden, Joey Chestnut comes in and he
Yeah.
wipes
And
the floor with
Kobayashi,
him. And
by the way, he never came close to any of these Chestnuts numbers.
No,
he was like in the 50s.
Yeah.
So we'll see what the next generation brings. But it's always a great event. Miki Sudo, she's going to win for the female. The only time she didn't win is because she didn't compete because she gave birth. So, you want to make some money here. There's ways to parlay it. You got to do combined over-under on dogs. Like, I think it was something like Lama said, over-under 116 hot dogs total between the two winners. I would take the over on that. And you probably want to be looking to make bets for third place or second place. You don't want to bet minus 5,000 on Chestnut. We're both going under on the hot dogs, but it's going to be awesome. I just don't know why.
We need a tremendous shout out here. Former I'm Right guest, Roger Clark, New York One, had them both on this morning. I don't know if you saw that.
Really?
He did. Yeah, there's a picture of it circulating. I think I retweeted it. So
how about this comment here from our buddy Antonino Cruciata? Chestnut good, but got to hedge. He's got competition. I don't think I wouldn't hedge on Chestnut.
What does the formula say? There's
two things you never bet against, Joe. Joey Chestnut and Charlotte Flair. And I'm going to continue that trend until somebody beats him. That's how we're going to continue at this point. But the last thing I would say about the hot dog eating contest is that they need to get it together, because clearly, if you and I were down there on Surf at Stillwell and Coney Island, but despite the fact that we'd be killing ourselves with the nightmarish traffic going in and out of Coney Island, we would add so much to the broadcast. I don't know. They need to get us in there. So if you're listening, Mr. Shea, get us in there and get us on the broadcast. It would be great, Jeff.
You would. Add a lot of life to it.
Let's talk traffic, though, real quick. What do you think is the worst traffic in New York City? Is it just a daily commute?
You're going to hate this.
Let me ask, would it be leaving Citi Field, leaving Yankee Stadium, going to or from?
It's getting to City. It's when there's standstill on the Grand Central when you're going to Citi Field. Not even close.
Okay.
That's terrible. Anything that requires going to Flushing is horrific.
I was going to say that leaving MetLife Stadium after a game, if you're not in the gold parking lot, the premium parking lot is the worst. But I'm never going to experience this, thank God. But I think leaving Coney Island after the hot dog eating contest is probably as bad as it's going to get.
Well, there are also stretches where the Belt Parkway is miserable.
There's only one road off. There's only one road off at Coney Island now. I was on the Belt Parkway a few weeks ago, coming back from Long Island. It was torture.
It's brutal.
It took 3 hours, and I was like, you know what? We got to eat.
It's always like that.
Horrible.
Heanyway,
I got to comment here real quick before we talk more traffic. Foreman Formula says that's my total calories for an entire week. I don't know. We've heard big stories about Joe Foreman going to Applebee's with his buddies and really pouring down the wings. But yeah, Joe, the traffic on the Belt and the BQE is a disaster.
Well, the BQE is always the same like that. I have been to Jets and Giants games at MetLife Stadium where it's like you waited to get out, but it wasn't totally miserable getting out. Been to Yankee games and they kind of flow to the traffic elsewhere onto the Major Deegan and stuff like that. So there's systems in place now. But yeah, there's some stretches of the Belt.
Going to a Subway Series game at Citi Field.
It's a disaster. It's the worst.
Brutal. Nino, who sat in traffic many times going to Citi Field, he says Coney Island before and after the Mermaid Parade. I don't know why Nino was going there. I don't know if it was a Liz 1, 2, 3, 4 situation, but probably took some date there. I don't know why he would subject himself to that traffic. But moving on here, we mentioned a little wrestling briefly as a Charlotte Flair. There was no women's match, but Money in the Bank, it went down, and I'm not happy with the results here. Joe,
are you ever happy?
Tell me why I should be happy with the results of the Money in the Bank winners.
I mean, I thought it was a fun show.
Okay, fun, great.
I'm disappointed LA Knight didn't win too. I understand that, but the Judgment Day are like the biggest thing on Raw. I'm okay with Damian Priest.
Well, Judgment Day is big now. They got Bailey, right? So and she congratulated her buddies for winning.
Samantha Irvin's got mommy on her mind.
Nina was heading to Gargiulo's.
Good for you, Nina.
Very good rice balls there. Listen, explain to me, Joe, how could I take Damian Priest seriously as a world champion when in his last singles match on a pay-per-view, he lost to a musician? Bad Bunny beat him. And you're telling me this guy's going to miss the Money in the Bank and he's going to go on to become WWE or WWE World Heavyweight Champion? No freaking way. I'm not buying it. He's going to cash in and fail just like most Money in the Bank winners do these days.
Oh, I think he'll cash in and succeed. I told you that was the test because Bad Bunny came in. He got eyeballs, his fans on the product. He had a great showing in Puerto Rico. And it's more so that Priest was able to carry that storyline. They were able to so it wasn't the main event that night, right? I think it went on like second to last, but they were considering making it the main event.
Was Sami Zayn and KO versus Roman and Solo.
Was that Saudi Arabia?
No, that was yeah.
What's the main event of Backlash? Isn't that funny? We can't remember that.
Who cares?
Who cares? Anyway, point being is that that was the test, and he passed the test, and they think very highly of him. I know he's not your cup of tea, but in terms of presence and look, he has a great look to him. And Judgment Day, they are the top heel act collectively together on Monday Night Raw. Rhea Ripley is the women's world champion. Finn Balor's not going to win the world title. Dominic Mysterio, I think he's got ways away before they decide to put the world title on him, even though the crowd boos him every time he comes out. So I think they're looking to test out Priest. And I think in terms of LA Knight not winning, which we were disappointed for, I still think there's a lot for him to do on SmackDown. I think he could go after the United States Championship. He's in the process of kind of ascending. They know that the crowd is fully behind him. I don't think they're going to wait too long with him. So we'll wait and see. And I know you were disappointed in that, but I thought the whole show overall was good, and I thought there were good surprises. The rumors were Brock Lesnar and Randy Orton, and we got Drew McIntyre and John Cena.
Main event of Backlash, by the way, Cody Rhodes versus Brock Lesnar. Before that, right. Solo, Jay, and Jimmy versus Riddle, KO, and Zayn.
Correct.
Now, I don't know. I think Damian Priest, to me, is not world champion material. And, again, he lost to a rapper, and now he's going to be champ. I'd rather Logan Paul won the match. But it is what it is. You know, there was so much. John Cena, though, huge pop.
They knew what they were doing.
Grayson Waller was tremendous.
He was. They were pumping up WrestleMania in the UK. Hopefully, we'll be able to go to that because that would be truly something. 80 to 90,000 people in there for 2 straight nights of WrestleMania. It's incredible.
It's tough with the early start time and the advertisers. I don't know if they're going to pull it off. But I know that there was a lot of moaning and groaning about the Bud Light winner of the matches. I mean, WWE, Nick Khan getting paid a ton of money there with that. So more WWE talk to come as we head towards the biggest party of the summer in Detroit, Michigan, SummerSlam. But speaking of London, we got to talk about Wimbledon here real quick. How is Novak Djokovic not a 1 seed in this tournament? The guy won the Australian Open.
Yep.
He won the French
Open. Yep.
He's not the number 1 player in the world. How is he not a 1 seed? You can't tell me there's 4 tennis players in the world right now better than this guy.
I don't know. I don't got a good answer for you. I wish I did.
We got to get Adnan Verkin here because he's a Djokovic hater. But I
listen. I understand he's a Federer guy, but Novak has now, over the course of the last couple of years, especially now coming out this year and winning the Australian Open, French Open, like you alluded to, like I was going to say, Novak has now passed Roger Federer. That's the truth.
He's the greatest of all time.
He's the greatest of all time.
He's got the records to prove it. So I think he's going Grand Slam this year. I think he's going to all 4. He's going to win. All this guy needs is a little motivation, and he's going to win. Look, he wasn't allowed in Australia. What does he do? He comes back the next year, wins the Australian Open.
Yep.
French Open, King of Clay, Rafa Nadal. He's out. Who's going to stop Djokovic? Nobody. And he wins. Now, he's got this motivation of he's at a 1 seed. He's going to win. And then he wasn't allowed to be in the U.S. Open previously. So he's going to win that in August and September. By the way, avoid going to Citi Field during the U.S. Open.
That's still a bucket list item. I would love to go to the U.S. Open. But, yeah, I mean, traffic over there is miserable always.
I know Antonino commented he's been to the U.S. Open with a few hot
I hear it's a lot of fun.
I would go, but I think the traffic would be, if there's a Met game going on, it'd be brutal. But Djokovic, we both agree, Joe, he's going to win Wimbledon, right?
Yes.
And he's going to win the U.S. Open?
Yes.
All right, Grand Slam. There's no competition for him. I know there's the young guy Alcatraz, but he's not on this level yet. All right, let's move on here to some more frustrating stuff, which is the NBA offseason, the news, the rumors, free agency, the trades. I don't know what the heck will start the Knicks. What are the Knicks doing? They're not tied to Damian Lillard at all. They have the best package available. They can afford all these first-round picks. They could have gave Obi Toppin. They give RJ back. Now, instead, they're going to take the lottery pick and Obi Toppin, and they're going to trade him for 2 second-round picks. And in return, they're going to sign Dante DiVincenzo, who is a nice guy, but I don't know what the long-term plan is here, other than let's try to get Jay Wright in here to be the head coach after this season. Well, I don't know what they're doing.
I mean, on the surface, it's a little bit of a lateral move, but I don't dislike the move because, again, it's Obi Toppin for Dante DiVincenzo. You created a cap space to go after him and get him to a 4-year deal, which I like because I like having Brunson. I like having Hart. I like having DiVincenzo. I think all three brought a winning culture to Villanova, right? And that's what the Knicks want to continue to do. And Obi, it's interesting because, again, he's never going to be like an all-star or anything like that. Could he have been a starter? Maybe. We don't know that. He'll have the opportunity to do so in Indiana. But, at this point, I just think they're in the process of still trying to collect enough assets, like good assets, because in the event a trade does present itself, I think they'll have the opportunity to jump on it. Moving forward, one of RJ Barrett or Julius Randle will not be a Knick. They're going to eventually find a trade for one of those guys because it's like I said.
Let's hope.
They're not top 2 options on a championship team. They're both the 3rd option, right? So at least we know that Jalen Brunson is a top 2 player on a championship team based on the way he played last year. So moving forward, we'll see how that goes. And I think you're right. I think the fact that they have all these Villanova guys, those guards in here, in the event that Tibbs just disappoints again in the regular season this year, or they kind of do the same thing that they did this year where they win 40-ish games, maybe they hit 50 wins and they lose in the first round or the second round, they kind of stall there like they did this year. And you give Jay Wright a call and you say, listen, we don't need you here for 5 to 10 years. We have your guys here. We feel like we're close. And they'll present an offer to him and they'll give him a big money offer like the Dolan usually does. And that may be enough to lure him out for 3 or 4 years.
He's never cheap. To give him that.
No, that might be enough. So listen, again, lateral moves, but I don't dislike them. I like DiVincenzo as a player. I think he's a really good bench option here.
So Joe, why aren't they calling up the Trailblazers?
Because I don't think they want to disrupt too much of what they have. Now, if it's like for RJ Barrett, a bunch of draft picks and a bunch of the depth bench guys, and maybe you throw in Fournier, because I think he's got 1 year left on his contract, right? So it's like they'll need to match salaries somehow. So if that's the case and that's the kind of trade you want to pull off, sure, that's fine. If they want to take Randall back, fine. But I don't think Randall for Lillard works for either team at all. I think you're more likely to put Randall in a trade maybe for Paul George again, like we said last week. But yeah, like I said, they're one of those 2 guys is not going to be on the Knicks moving forward. And it's just a matter of can they figure out a trade and can they figure out the guy to bring in here?
I got it, Joe. This is what the trade's going to be. At the trade deadline, the Knicks are going to trade Julius Randle to the New Orleans Pelicans with some other picks for a guy who is going to have at that point played maybe 10 games that season, Zion Williamson.
I could see
That's
it.
going to be the trade that Pelicans are going to say, let's try to. We had the 1 seed last year. for a time as that. Let's get Julius here. Maybe we could make some noise in the playoffs this year. Give us 4 first-round picks. Next, take back Zion, and he's gonna maybe
I
play
can
like
see
20 games in his next career. What do you
Because
think?
here's the thing. The Pelicans have Brandon Ingram and they have CJ McCollum, who are two very, very good players. Zion, when he's on the court, is an all-star caliber player, sure. But it's like I keep telling you this. I know Julius Randle has had shortcomings in the playoffs, but he still made the all-star team 2 of the last 3 years. He's a very, very good player. He's more of a sure thing, and he brings a veteran presence to a locker room. They may need it down there, right? So on the surface, bringing Randall back to New Orleans, kind of saying, you know something, we understand Zion's ceiling is really, really high, but to pivot, to again, bring like a more stable veteran player in there, a guy who is an all-star, to add with those 2 guys. And you're right, they came out of the gate swinging last year, the first 30 or so games. They, along with Memphis, were at the top of the Western Conference, and a lot of people were like, Denver didn't start so great last year. They were kind of in the 4, 5, 6 range until they settled in the midway point of the season. Then from there, they were definitively the best team in the NBA and the NBA champions. But yeah, I think it makes sense. And I think they're going to be at a crossroads with Zion, because giving him big money and giving him those 4 or 5 years that come next, it's a very difficult process to wait out. So I actually think it makes sense, and I think it's a risk the Knicks, if they're truly like looking to win a championship. I think it's a good pivot move to make.
Well, here's the thing, Joe. Would you rather trade for 50 games of Paul George and 0 games in the postseason of him, or would you rather trade for 20 games of Zion Williamson at a younger age and hope maybe he gets healthy at some point?
You got to go for the higher ceiling. So in this case, it's Zion.
So the Knicks they're just going to try to get every player from that draft in here. They got RJ. They brought in Cam Reddish. They're going to try to get Zion. Maybe if things fall off, with John Morant on suspension, they'll get him in New York. Something's got to give here, though. But because right now, the Knicks as constituted, they did not get better this offseason by that much, if at all. I think the way this team gets better is addition by subtraction. Like you mentioned, can't have Barrett and Randall both here moving forward.
Right. One absolutely has to go. You can live with the other one as, like I said, your third best player, because you know Julius Randle's an all-star. And even though RJ Barrett struggles a bit at times when he shoots, he's averaged 20 points a game every year with those deficiencies. He was very good in the playoffs until he had 1 or 2 bad games in the Cleveland series, and he had a really, really bad game 6 in Miami. But for that middle stretch there, he was very consistent, 20 to 25 points every game. Again, he's only 22 years old. I believe I think actually he just turned 23, if I'm not mistaken, in June. So he's still relatively young. He's got more in him, right? There's the trajectory with him is going up. With Randall, I think what you see now is what you're going to get. So.
Real quick, Antonino says it's a great time. Always fun to go to the Open. The serial dater he is. Great spot for a date as well. Joe, who plays more home games at Madison Square Garden in his career moving forward here? RJ Barrett or Alexei Lafreniere of the New York Rangers?
Lafreniere.
All right, so Barrett's out of here soon. Lock up Lexi.
I think Barrett is more likely to get traded. I think for the Rangers, I think Capo Caco is more likely to get traded than Lafreniere.
All right, we'll see. All right, so any thoughts on Damian Lillard, though, saying he basically wants to be on the Heat? If I'm the Trailblazers, I'm saying too bad. We got 4 years left in the deal. The Miami Heat could literally give us nothing of value. So we'll see at training camp. What do you think?
Here's what it comes down to. Is Tyler Hero going to be in the trade? I think he absolutely has to be. The Heat went to the finals without him. So how much do you really, really need him? So in this case, if putting Hero in the trade and then putting a bunch of goodies surrounding him as one of the primary pieces, if that works for Portland, then Damian Lillard will be in Miami. But if that doesn't work, then I can't see any combination of assets that Miami has to send Portland the other way. Because Damian's still good. He's aging very well. I think he's going to be just a perennial all-star type of player going into the twilight years of his career. So you still have to give to get. He's not going to bring back like 2 or 3 great young players, 3 or 4 first-round draft picks. Like, he's not worth that anymore. But he's still worth a really good young starter, roster-worthy player 2 first-round picks, maybe 3 first-round picks with like a condition or pick swaps attached to like 2 picks or something. You know what I mean? Like there's some room to mix and match here, but he's still worth something. So you just can't get him for like poo-poo.
Well, we'll see what happens. Player empowerment era usually get what they want. So we'll see. How about Kyrie Irving? Had to eat some humble pie. He only got a 3-year deal. He's got to kick it back in Dallas. Poor guy.
Got to prove himself.
Where's James Harden going to end up?
Clippers. I think he figures out a way to get there.
I agree. I'd love to see him in New York with the Knicks. I know you don't. You wouldn't want to, but they'd be better with James Harden, the Knicks.
Well, I told you it's a rough. The Brunson fit with Harden is not great. If James Harden wants to play, like I said, the Manu Ginobili role, where he's the super stud sixth man, where he plays the fill in the blank minutes when Brunson's not on the court, and you only have to deal with them being on the court for maybe 5 minutes or so in the first half, and then really down the stretch in games. I think that works. They need his shooting. They need his 3-point shooting. I don't necessarily hate the move, but it's got to be the right trade for the Knicks.
All right, moving on here. AMC, what a disgraceful organization. Joe, last night, me and the wife made a return to the movie theaters for the first time since 2018. We had some gift cards. We needed to get rid of them finally. I had one gift card. And there was an issue. It wasn't working. I had to send in the whole thing in the email to get a replacement. Blah, blah. Anyway, so we go to the movies last night. We're going to see No Hard Feelings. First of all, everything's different here with the movies. You got to reserve ahead of time online to get your tickets. And there's very minimal seating in the theaters. There's like 20 seats. So we went to the AMC theater at the Staten Island Mall. So we bought the tickets ahead of time. We were in row 4 of 6 in the theater. And it's very uncomfortable recliner seats. Not a big fan. But, Joe, 2 adults for a movie on a Sunday night, $7.45. What do you think the price was total for the tickets after the mega processing fee? I don't know what they were processing.
Mega processing.
They charged me for a processing fee.
Well, now that has to push each ticket over $20, no?
Very close. Very close.
I was going to say 22, 23.
So $38 and
Combined
change to get 2 tickets.
Oh, okay. So 19.
So that's a ripoff. I agree. Movies in high school, whatever, $7, $8. And now I got to consult with the foreign formula before buying tickets. Well, here's the thing, Joe Foreman. I will never buy movie tickets again. I'm never going back to the movies. I had these AMC gift cards that were just sitting in my drawer for years. So I had a $25 gift card that I used, and then I had like $16 on another, and then I had $3 left. So I got there, and I'm like, well, I got to use this gift card because I'm never coming back here again. So then I was like, what are we going to buy? I really don't know. A-list is 3 movies per week. Yeah, I average about 1 movie per decade in the theater. So,
well, going to the movies is soon going to be obsolete because these companies are going to, it's going to be like video games. I'd
rather just watch the movie on my TV. I can watch pretty much anything on Max, like after 3 months. So anyway, popcorn, Joe, a regular popcorn, which tasted horrible. What do you think the price is of a small regular popcorn?
Probably $8, right?
They're very good. It seems like you've been to New Jersey. It was like $9.75 for a popcorn.
Okay. It was probably like $8.50 or $8.75 the last time I went.
So use the gift card. So basically like a $6.75 night out. We saw the movie No Hard Feelings. How
was it? I heard good things.
Clearly a cash grab for J Law, but she did not mail it in. It was good, had its good moments. It took place in Montauk in Long Island during the summer season, and it was entertaining. I would highly recommend people go see that. I will be seeing The Flash soon, not in the theaters though. But I do have a gift card for Regal. I think it's $25. I want to go check out a movie, but that $25 doesn't even cover the price of 2 tickets. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know. We'll see. Where do you usually go to the movies when you go to the movie theater?
Well, I live 5 blocks from a movie theater, so that's kind of convenient.
I
can literally
AMC, Regal,
walk right
Atrium.
over.
Which one are you doing here?
I go to the Atrium. Listen, if
Atrium was always was always the place to go.
If Pete Davidson is good enough to take Kim Kardashian there, I'm good enough to continue going there.
So we were talking about this last week. I think our listeners now got a good kick out of this, which was that if Joe started dating the former Mrs. Bezos, because he was interested, and she was like, yeah, she's coming to Staten Island the first time, wants to meet you in the neighborhood. Where are you taking her in Staten Island?
Well, there are a bunch of good places to go. So we
for a date.
Grab like food. Yeah. Gotta grab Italian food somewhere.
All right. So you're probably going
I'm not taking her to the Atrium first. Sorry, Pete.
All right. Last topic here. MLB All-Star Game rosters are announced. Home Run Derby is announced. This year, I'm just not getting into it. I don't really care. I feel like the game is kind of losing its luster here as of late. Home Run Derby, good field so far, though. And I think Pete Alonso is out for revenge. I think he's going to win this year. Your overall thoughts here on the Home Run Derby and the All-Star Game?
I mean, I'm always into it. To a certain degree. Watch. Yeah, no, it's still the best of the best. The other ones are just unwatchable at this point. At least with baseball, they mic the players up during the game. They have a couple of in-game things that they usually do. The venue itself has become a draw, right? So last year was in LA at Dodger Stadium. So the scenery of it, this year they're in Seattle. So they try to hype up whatever city they go to. But yeah, I mean, it depends on how you feel. There are a lot of good young players in the game. They have to do a better job marketing said young players. But in terms of overall All-Star games, it's like you can watch it, right? It's not like you turn it on like it's like an unwatchable product.
This year,
it's the best it's going to
watch because it's like the whole Atlanta Braves roster is in the All-Star game, and that's just a little overkill. You got to get other markets involved.
Well, a lot of the Rangers players in the American League, I think they're the entire
Rangers.
Well, three of the starting infielders and the catcher all came from Texas.
Right, and 2 pitchers.
Right.
Home Run Derby. Any predictions? Because to me, I think we don't have the whole field yet, but I'm thinking Alonso is going to be the favorite.
Well, who was announced?
Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Julio Rodriguez.
Yep.
So. There's still going to be more to be announced. But I'm thinking here that I'm going Alonso. He wants some revenge. Adley Rutschman is going to be in it.
Ooh.
He's going to make his debut. Randy Arozarena. So, there's some stars here. Mookie Betts is going to be in it. I'm surprised about that. And that's the field at this point. Anybody leap out to you there as a favorite?
Arozarena will probably go for it.
I mean, why wouldn't you go for it? It's $1 million on the line. None of these guys are making it.
He was a stud in the World Baseball Classic. He's doing the Home Run Derby. Plays for a good Tampa Bay Rays team. And again, none of those guys get marketed. Oh, by the way, I'm a Yankees fan, but how was Wander Franco not in the game?
Well, he was benched this year. The Rays benched him for a while.
He's still really good. Capable of being an all-star.
How about the Yankees getting shut down by Jordan Montgomery on Sunday?
He's a good pitcher. They got Harrison Bader for him, so it was like an apples for orange trade. But it's like both players have been good with their new teams.
Right. Well, Home Run Derby next Monday. So my prediction, I'm going Alonso. Joe's going to Rosarena. We'll talk about it on Tuesday. We'll talk about the All-Star Game on Tuesday as well. We want to wish Adnan Virk a safe flight out to Seattle. A friend of the show, of course. He'll be there. And we want to wish all of you a happy and healthy 4th of July. And I want to wish you once again, Joe, a very happy birthday. So we hope you all enjoyed this episode of You Know I'm Right Live. And until next time, everybody, just keep on remembering that you know I'm right.